Ladies and gentlemen, DJ JayCee, ladies and gentlemen.
What's good? What's good?
That ain't gonna
Okay. So I'm gonna be looking at this one.
be in there. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, you know, you can look at either one.
Okay.
These two is recording number.
All right.
All right. So this, I want you to talk about what made you want to do what you're doing now, music, turntables, and all that. What started? What was going on during that time? What the influences, you know, and work your way up to now, you know.
Okay. I'm originally from Detroit, right? So if you follow me on social media, you know, you see DJ JayCee 313, you know, like that's I cling to my Detroit roots like New York niggas cling to their roots. You know what I'm saying? Like it's, you know how you run into, you know, a motherfucker from New York that you know has been living in Atlanta for like 30 years, right? But you know, every time you see him, you know, they be like, "Yo, I'm from Brooklyn." Brooklyn, that's my borough. You know, so you know, I'm like that with Detroit, man. You know,
Right.
But I have been in Atlanta since permanently since 85. So you know, I've been here long enough to experience the scene, you know, as it currently is, but you know, the scene as it was growing into what it currently is. Like you know, like I went to Columbia for a minute, and while I was at Columbia, I befriended Soul Messiah. But you know, back at Columbia, he was DJ Kid Crush, right? Xavier Hargrove also went to Columbia, so you know most of you know him, Big X or Spearhead X. You know, I just known him. He used to call himself DJ Adidas, right? So there was DJ Kid Crush, who Soul Messiah, DJ Adidas, Spearhead X. I used to call myself DJ Detroit. I used to call myself DJ Detroit because there was a DJ at Southwest DeKalb who called himself DJ New York. Right? So I was DJ Detroit, but I didn't have equipment of my own. But there were in my immediate within a 3 to 4 mile radius, you know, my neighborhood that I lived in, right off of McAfee, Candler, there were like 5 other people within a radius. They all had equipment.
Right.
So, you know, we used to buy records and, you know, go over other people's houses and mix them, you know, and then I finally got my own equipment in 88. You know, KP sold me my very first 1200. KP, Kawan Prather, you know, most of you know him. You know, the guy who discovered Youngbloods, T.I., you know, Grammy winning guy for Kendrick Lamar. All right, sold me my first 1200. It was hot, so he had to get rid of it. You know, he sold me the first 1200 for $50. It was spray painted red.
Wow.
So yeah, I had a red 1200 and a black Technics quartz direct drive turntable that didn't have a pitch. Right. So you know, in my bedroom, you know, I mix. But I also there were people in my neighborhood from Philadelphia. You know, and this is how I first learned of DJs like Jazzy Jeff and Cash Money. You know, because they would, you know, the guy would skip school to go home to Philly and he'd come back with all these block party and house party tapes. And, you know, before hearing these tapes, like I was, I got, you know, the DJ bug had bitten me, but until I heard these Philly block party tapes. I had never heard people cutting up doubles of It's Time, and I'd never heard that. You know, never heard it's time. It's time. It was like, what? You know, so hearing all this stuff again, this was 85 going into 86. And I'm hearing this like, yo, these motherfuckers are aliens. You know, it wasn't no videotapes back there, so you just had to listen and just imagine, how the fuck are these niggas doing that shit? How are they catching these records so fast and and doing rhythmic patterns, and basically like these niggas was doing the foundation for what became beat juggling, and but Cash Money, like them niggas was way back then. So yeah, hearing those tapes kind of warped my brain. Like, I want to learn how to do that. Like, I was already, playing records, because again, I've been buying records all my life. My grandmom had a record store in Detroit. She had that until maybe I might have been like 3 or 4, and then the store closed down. But I've always been around records. Period. Like there ain't been a year of my life where you know what I'm saying. So
I think I can say the same.
Yeah, man. So junior high school, that's like, and I know I'm kind of going, but I just kind of like to give people the real, you know what I'm saying. So junior high in Detroit, that's where I first saw someone actively DJing in front of me, like where I could look from the bleachers and be like, wow. So this was happening for me in Detroit. And like, I had heard mixing before, because there was somebody on the radio in Detroit called, his name was Mojo, and then there was a Mojo here in Atlanta too. But the electrifying Mojo had been on the radio in Detroit since like 78, 79. So Mojo, would play, like, certain like little mixes, during his show. So I had heard the concept, but I had never ever seen anybody like physically blend two records, So at my junior high dance, this guy was DJing. Jim had like 8 crates of records, and for 2 hours, like, he just kept the music just going continuous. Wasn't no breaks, wasn't doing a bunch of cutting, but his mixing, mixing, it just, and I'm just like, yo, he's mixing your rhythmics.
Sure did, huh?
Wow. In the energy.
What up, man? What up, man? I'm doing JayCee now.
What up, bro? You alright?
What up, Shy? He chillin', man. He good, man. Nah. Somebody, fucked it up where he at, but he's supposed to be. He actually got a March 19th. He got a hearing date, March 19th.
Let me give you my cell phone, real quick. Tell him if he ever run across the phone up in there, because niggas be that niggas phone.
No doubt. Yeah, no doubt. You already know. Kurt got your number, right?
Yeah, Curt got it.
Alright, yeah, I'm gonna get it from him definitely before I
I
leave.
don't think I got your new joint.
I just tried to call you on your cell phone and shit, and
You did?
I said, yeah, I said this nigga got this. Yeah, now this nigga shit I want to call. You know what I'm saying? Mike Free.
Right. I got you.
I've been ducking this nigga out now. God damn it, I gotta get in.
All day.
Yeah, man. You know, it's all love, man. It's all fam, man. You know.
Yeah, what part of town you on?
Right here off of Bolton Road.
Oh, that's in Atlanta?
Yeah, it's an exit off exit after Bankhead. Don Lee Holloway.
What I'm gonna do, you know, I'm driving the highway and shit, so I'm gonna get one of my boys, man. If you want to come out tomorrow,
Yeah, I couldn't get you.
Nah,
man.
it don't get no more Atlanta than that. That's some real.
like I said, you know what I'm saying? Because I'm coming to fuck with you now, for real.
Okay.
Yeah.
Alright, okay, man. Okay, man. I'm glad you called, man. Let's do it, man.
On another note, though, what you be doing? Remember how when you was around this way, that you be gambling and shit? You
Right.
fuck around?
This man said I would not be driving on the highway.
My nigga Boo.
Okay.
It's just like that.
But hey,
But he
yeah,
DJs
have a little
every week.
you
Though.
know, do something.
You know, so he DJ now. Every week, you know.
Okay.
I got a good shot.
Alright, cool, man. Appreciate it.
Yo, it's crazy.
I was
that-
just telling her that.
We were just thinking about it.
Now, I got a Sade story. You know, niggas, like at Columbia, he had a cousin named Tanya that I had a class with, right? So this was before his records came out. He was DJing back then.
Right,
Oh.
right.
Oh, you know what, man? I don't mean to cut you off, but back in, I think I want to say like 84, Run MC Peter Piper had just came out.
Peter Piper was 86.
86, okay. I was walking down the street, I was living on Fathom Road. You know, Boulder Park and Fathom Road, I was living right there, a couple of houses down. It was houses, it's woods now, but I lived right there on 267 Fathom Road. But anyway, I was walking one day on the street and I saw a tape, cassette tape. It was, you know, it was broken up, and all you had to do is just, you know, put it back there. I could put cassette tape together.
Yeah.
So I got the tape, went home, took it home, and it was a Sade tape, DJing, dude. And he was, I mean, he was fucking this shit up, dude.
Listen, dog.
I'm talking about, I was like, wow, Sade.
So his cousin Tanya was a classmate of mine, right? So she used to come in to class, and you know, back in them, niggas had Walkmans, or sometimes niggas would be so bold as to even bring their whole little boombox to school, right? So she had this radio, and she was playing this tape. And there was a dude, he was Sade, but DJ, he was playing The Show. This is when The Show was the hot record.
Yeah.
And The Show, Fly Girl,
Yeah.
Bobby Jimmy, Big Butt.
Yeah.
Right? These are all records that are on this tape that she was playing. And this guy with this real high-pitched voice, he was rapping. Well, not really rapping, like he was hosting.
Yeah.
You know, the kind of the shit that
he was MCing. He was MCing.
Yeah. But you know, for the tape purposes, right? You know, he would be like, "I'm on the mix, not playing no tricks.
Right.
On the mix, not playing no tricks." You know, it's on beat.
Yeah.
And he was playing fucking The Show, and he kept backspinning the when Slick Rick I was going downtown.
Word.
Right? Like in a rap video, it was go, and then it go, word, word,
Yeah.
word. I was like, oh shit. I was like, who the fuck is that? She was like, yo, that's my cousin. That's my cousin, DJ Shadi. Da, da, da. And I was like,
Right.
yeah. So this is 85. And his first record hadn't even come out yet.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's
Which was the
dun 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 dun
Pink
dun,
Panther.
dun, 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 dun. Yeah, on Foresight Records. Before Luke. With DJ Man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
We was on Foresight. Yeah.
And DJ Man there was this teen club which later became The Gate. Jazzy T. There was this teen club called Atlantis.
Right.
That's which camera I'm looking in. That's history.
Yeah.
DJ Man used to DJ. There was DJ Man.
DJ Me.
I don't remember
DJ
him.
Man and DJ Me. You remember DJ Me?
But I remember
DJ, that was Man's homeboy, DJ Me.
Radio Red.
Radio Red.
And I heard
Right.
Yeah.
So okay, I guess it was me, but I know for a
Me.
fact I saw a Man in there,
Yeah.
and that was Decatur's like little teen club, Atlantis, and DJ Man used to DJ in there. Like I remember seeing him backspin the Davy D, the one for the treble, the bonus beats. Where's the
Right.
he was up in the booth. Just on time. And then I forget who was MCing the night, but they said something, in wanting Man to go off, right? That nigga went like, what? Alright, so J-Team. So my knowledge of J-Team basically came through Lynn. Kind of indirectly. Well, direct, but indirect at the same time. Because really the only times I would see him when he would come through Booby's crib. So again, if you ever interview Lynn, make sure to ask Lynn about, when he would come to Decatur, and battle a guy named Booby. They battled like 3 times. He knows who the victor was. But yeah, you gotta ask him. Put him on the spot. Make sure you put him on the spot. But yeah, so even though they battled a few times, they ended up just becoming cool, right? So Lynn would come through and he would play some of his latest mixes that he was, the mixtapes that he would sell at the shop. So like I was telling Wiz, like there was one mix that he did in particular where he started off with Rodney O and Joe Cooley, the bonus beats on the supercuts, 12-inch. We'll start off with the Michael Jackson. And then the motherfucking 808 comes in. Right? So when the beat would come in, he was scratching up a Jody Watley record, the Some Kind of Lover. Little transforms and shit. Okay, all right, this nigga Lynn. Okay.
Yeah.
You should have been doing that in them battles. But on the tape, okay, kind of funky. So at that point, being a part of anything affiliated with Edward J at that time was
the shit.
Yeah. Right? You know what I'm saying? At that point, I didn't, you know, I had no clue of how to, you know, get down, you know, with that. But then a funny thing happened. 1990, the Edward J. shop came to Candler Road. in the Candler, in the, not Candler Plaza, but the Candler McAfee shopping plaza. Right in my hood. Right in my hood. I remember one day my mom sent me on an errand to go up to Big Star. How many of y'all remember Big Star groceries? Right? See, that's true Atlanta.
Yeah.
Right? So anyway, I'm getting some shit from my mom at Big Star. And I remember just walking out of the store and I hear some scratching coming from a speaker, you know, a few feet down from the grocery store. So of course my ear being what it is, oh shit, somebody scratching? Let me figure out where this is coming from. So I go and the space that used to be Payless, okay, the space that used to be Payless in the Candler McAfee shopping plaza was now the J shop. This is where the music is coming from. So, you know, I go and I see a turntable set up in the back. But, you know, I saw Edward J, his wife, Joyce, behind they had all these tape decks. They had like 12 tape decks stacked on top of each other, just running off copies, you know, and people coming in buying, you know, 60-minute tape was $10, 90-minute was $13.50, or as Edward J would say, a nifty $13.50, right? But anyway, I go in there and I see the turntables, and I go in there and I see Kizzy Rock. Kizzy Rock had a huge high top fade and shit, and I just remember kind of doing recon, right? Like, cause again, I went into the store. No one knew me. But I just kind of just wanted to see what was going on in the store. And I just remember seeing Kizzy Rock using the line switch. You know, cause like Joe Cooley, you inspired a whole lot of DJs to use the line switch on the mixers.
Yeah.
And Eric B.
Eric B don't count.
Yeah, I mean,
Eric B don't count. Eric B Chinese arithmetic.
We're not saying Eric B is better than anybody.
Yeah. I mean, you know, he's definitely earned his place in the game.
Yeah.
No doubt.
You know.
Eric B was funky, you know. He was funky.
The line, that was the only mention.
Yeah.
The line.
Yeah, right. So Kizzy Rock was scratching, and you know, we didn't have the small mixers. We had these big long Pyramid or Gemini, GLI or whatever that had the equalizers, right? And Kizzy is line switching, you know.
Yeah.
So I remember just kind of approaching Kizzy and Edward J, because they were in the midst of making a tape, right? So I kind of, you know, like I guess one of the breaks or whatever they had when they weren't recording, I just went up there with J. I was like, "Yo, I can do that. You know, how can I get down?" And he was like, "You got some records?" I was like, we right in my hood. Like, I'll go get some records and I'll come right back.
Right.
So came back about half hour later with my crate of breaks and It's Time and Peter Piper.
Yeah.
And you know, that's how I got down with the J team. It was a quick audition. You know, the whole time Kizzy Rock was definitely ice grilling me, you know, but couldn't front. couldn't front on the boy. this motherfucker.
Right.
Oh shit. Okay. So yeah, like I'm being exposed to all that, right?
Yeah.
And then the Edward J. At this time, when I first became aware of Edward J, this might have been like going like late '86, going into '87. So at this time, the shop was on Fayetteville Road, right off of Flat Shoals. These, like, people, them tapes was
Like crack.
like, I was just about to say that. Like, we here, like, right? So there's this guy, Lynn. Okay, now, here, full transparency. If y'all like how I DJ, I hung out with a guy named Booby. Now, if you ever do an interview with Spearhead X or Soul Messiah, ask them about a guy at Columbia High named Booby that we all battled. You know, with DJ battles back then.
Right.
So Booby was the guy who lived on the next block from me. Like, I used to live on Nettie Court, right off of McAfee. I could cut through somebody's yard to get to Booby's house, which is right by Tony Elementary, right? Booby had all the equipment. Booby had the 1200s. Booby, he was a spoiled child, so his mom, you know, what was the stereo stores? Atlanta Stereo. Their South DeKalb location. Got a lot of business from Booby. Fucking Atlanta Stereo, yes sir. So, he was like the, you know, even though other people had turntable setups in my neighborhood, he was like the immediate plug, right? Like all the activity in our neighborhood, his house, right? So Messiah, Spearhead, they will all verify everything I'm saying, actual, factual, everything, right? So this guy, man, like he was a hellified motherfucking DJ, man. But he just he gave it up to do illegal shit. So I kind of grabbed the neighborhood torch from him, right? Because again, Spirit X and Soul, they will tell you, like, this guy was super talented on the cuts. He could mix. He had ideas, you know. He came up with, you know, trying to think of mixing things that you wouldn't think would go together,
Right.
You know, but he just right. So, yeah, that motherfucker was nasty. But anyway, okay, so bringing it back. Yeah, you know, the Lynn, DJ Lynn, Booby used to go to the Edward J shops. He met Lynn at the shop on Fayetteville Road. Lynn used to come over to Booby's house every now and then. Like, ask Lynn, if you ever interview Lynn, ask Lynn if he ever remembers coming to Decatur and battling a guy named DJ Booby. Like, again, it's all actual factuals. You ask Lynn, Lynn will tell you. He may not admit to it. He may not admit to it. And he would be like, "Yo, this nigga Booby was nasty, right?" So, yeah, you know, so Lynn coming through the neighborhood. This is also around the time Down by Law was tearing up shit. You know, a few of them niggas used to, again, Booby, his house was the hot spot for our, you know, so we had a lot of traffic coming through there. You know, we used to go to Panthersville Stadium, you know, after the football games, hanging out at the Burger King on Camel Road and seeing niggas get fucked up over there. You know, like I witnessed a lot of shit. I wasn't really about that life, you know, but I certainly saw Down by Law, Lady Law. Yeah. Saw a lot of ass whoopings happening on that Burger King on Candler Road and the McDonald's on Wesley Chapel. You know. Yeah. But yeah, man. Anyway, so yeah, all actual facts. Right. You know, I lived it. I seen it, man. So yeah, man. You know, just seeing Lynn, man, and the Edward J tapes, and you know, just the constant practice going over people's house, man. You know, like I didn't know that it was gonna turn into the career. You know, I just thought it was just gonna be a passion, you know, that I would do, you know, like with my regular job, you know, whatever the fuck the regular job was gonna be. Right. But you know, when the bug bit me, man, it was just, you know, I had a record shop job at Third World on Candler Road. And then I also used to work at Peppermint Records at Greenbrier. Right.
With Jelly, huh?
No, see, this was
Jelly
before.
At the West
Yeah. And this was before Jelly. Because I worked at the Peppermint in Greenbrier in late '88, going into '89. Yeah. So I met Jelly in '91, going into '92.
They just selling my records.
Yeah. I met Jelly when Jelly was DJing at Magic City in the afternoons.
And he was working at Peppermint?
Yeah. That Peppermint is actually where I met him.
Okay.
Right? I was just walking through the mall one day, walking past Peppermint, and somebody was playing Boogie Down Productions and X-Clan and shit. And I was like, oh, it caught my ear. Like, okay, all right. You know, over here, let me see what's happening. You know, I ain't not $1 to my name, but you know, I mean, I'm window shopping and shit, right? So, you know, I'm looking through the bins, and Jelly comes over, you know, typical salesman shit, right? And we just start talking hip hop, right? So we hit it off to the point where, you know, he was like, yo, every Sunday I got a group of people that congregate at my crib, blah, 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 come through, right? Because, you know, what a lot of people, I mean, I've told this story to a few people, but, you know, I used to be a part of a local rap group. You know, like I used to want to make records. I used to want to be in a rap group.
Right.
So you know, Jelly was, you know, he was like, yeah, you know, come to the crib, bring your MC, blah 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 blah. So I came over there with a motherfucking crate of break beats, you know, just pre-Serato. You know, I had all the motherfucking volumes. I brought a crate over there, and you know, my MC, you know, would rap. You know, I played a few breaks. You know, niggas welcomed us into the crew. The crew was called Foul. You know, remember when everybody had used to go by acronyms and shit like FOUL, and then so the name Foul stood for focusing on United Leaders or some shit. Again,
some typical.
Yes. You know, acronyms was the thing. You know, like 91 and shit, man. You know, So, but yeah, again, actual factuals. You ever have a conversation with Jelly, be like, "Yo, so what's this Foul Productions?" And then Jelly would be like, "Yeah." But and see, I also realized in talking about that I just totally skipped over my being a part of the J team. Totally skipped over that, but we'll come back to it, I guess.
When did you get with Nation Time, and how all that happened?
Nation Time happened in '92. Yeah, Nation Time happened in '92.
Yeah.
So, I had a relationship with my folks at 88.5, Randall Moore.
Okay.
Like, see, before they started having DJs mixing live on 88, they used to have niggas send tapes in. So I just remember listening I just happened to be listening one Sunday, and Randall was like, "Yo, if you're a DJ out there, blah 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 blah, we want to hear your stuff. We want to check your stuff out.
Yeah.
Make sure it's radio clean. You can send nothing longer than 25 minutes, but the music, it has to be clean, blah blah blah. And if we like it, we'll put you on the air." So I sent in a tape, and Randall, he still has it actually. But the very first mix, this will tell you how old it is. Tom's Diner was the hot record at the time, so that was that was like what, 91, right?
Yeah.
So started off with Tom's Diner, and then I played like Public Enemy, Brothers Gonna Work It Out, and at some point Paid in Full came into the mix somewhere, but I just remember so we always have to shout out Randall Moore and Talib Shabazz, because we know a lot of people don't talk about their contributions to
I want to get them too.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, Randall put me on the radio. Pre-recorded, obviously. But then I did my first live mix on the radio in July of '92.
Wow.
On 88.5 for 2 hours from like midnight all the way until a little bit past 2. We went, and I had no real concept of how to DJ on the radio. I just knew that everything that I had to play was clean. That's all I knew. So, set was probably trash. If I listen to it now, I would probably cringe, like, oh God, I was really DJing on the radio. But so Nation Time. Nation Time was a name that I used to hear listening to 88.5. Like they would do the concert calendar, right? And they would always be like, "Yo, Nation Time Syndicate is gonna be at Spelman or Morris Brown." This was Morris Brown was still functioning back then, right? So Nation Time Syndicate, Morris, they're gonna be live, blah 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 blah. Nation Time Syndicate is gonna be blah blah blah. And I was like, damn, who are these Nation Time Syndicate guys?
Right.
So I remember meeting Nab. Not DJ Nabs, but just regular NAB, Noah Booker.
Yeah.
I can't remember where I met him. No, I can remember. They were Nation Time. They were doing some type of appearance at in this plaza off of Old National, where what was the Cajun Crab House?
Yeah.
I don't remember the name of the plaza, but that's where that
plaza.
Yeah. So that's where they was set up, and he was like, if you think you dope, come out here, right? So of course I'm green, right? I go up there and I bring a crate of records out there, and he kind of put me on the spot a little bit. And at that time, I wasn't really ready for prime time, right? But then he was like, "Yo, come on, I want you to come over to Jazz's crib out in Decatur, and we're gonna get you. Want you to do a real audition, right?" So I remember coming in there with again crate of breaks, and everybody in Nation Time was New York. I mean, shit, you was around, so everybody in New York. I mean, everybody in Nation Time Syndicate was New York from up top, blah blah blah, right? So imagine being in a basement with imagine the Public Enemy Yo Bum Rush the Show album cover where you see somebody DJing. It's just a whole bunch of angry niggas looking at the DJ. That's how niggas was looking at me, right? Jazz, he wouldn't let me use my crate of records. He was like, "I'm gonna give you a crate, and I want you to play the breaks out of my crate. See, if you use your stuff, your marks and all that stuff, right? So so I want to see if you really know the records, like, and you gotta also again, all these niggas, like they're total screw face,
looking for
just looking for a reason, right? So Jazz, he got his breaks, and I had to show him, like, okay, like, I know these records.
Right.
And, being a DJ, like, we have our own way to make visual marks.
Right, exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So, like, if it's hard to explain, but if you're cut from the cloth that we are, you know what the fuck I'm talking about. Right? Like, you can just be like, oh, yeah, that's where that part is.
Exactly.
Okay, and then you just, right. So
rising in your head.
So I went through about 8 different breaks, and when I was done, all them niggas was like,
Pick it up, right?
So
frown turned upside.
The
other way.
So that led to hanging out all the time. This is where we met at the studio. Because again, these ideas, from that rap group. I would go over there, Flash had the MP over there, and I would just be over there tapping shit out,
Yeah, man, those were good old days. Those, like, you had to work. Those were working days.
Yeah.
You really had to work for where we at right now.
Man.
Those were the day that count. Yeah. Well, yeah, man. So, and then fast forward for a quick little second. How you got with Ludacris? How that happened?
Oh shit! Okay, so the Ludacris thing. I met him while he was still a student at Georgia State. Remember now that's where 88.5 was. That's the Georgia State radio station.
Right.
He was a student there.
Okay.
So at this time, I was living in College Park, right off Old National in Thornton Woods. And this is when Hot signed on, right? Shaka Zulu was the music director for Hot. But see, I knew Shaka prior to that.
Right.
Because Shaka used to be on 89.3 doing the Panther Power Hour.
Right.
With him and
Princess
I won a DJ contest on his show.
Princess
Ivory, Tasha Love.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So
what was it? Nubia? What was her name?
Sister Nubia. Yeah. She was cute. I was like, okay,
right.
all right, yeah. I see you over there in the red, black, and green. All right.
Sister Nubia.
Right on. Power to the people. Yeah.
Shoot, all that.
But yeah, so when Shaka started working for Hot, you know, we already had each other's info, right? So with me living off of Old National, you know, at first Hot was, I think when they first signed on, like they were on in a trailer or somewhere, right? But then when they first got their first office space to like really do a real studio, they were in an office park
Right
off
on
of Old National.
Yep, I remember that.
Right? So Shaka would be like, yo, we got a whole bunch, you know, they were the first hip hop station here in Atlanta, right? So they got record labels sending tons of vinyl. They got so many copies of things they don't even know what to do. So Shaka used to call me. He would be like, "Yo, you know, if there's a record that you need that you don't have, chances are we got it up here. So you know, come through, look through our wax or whatever." So I remember going up there, and Luda was his intern, right? Shaka made the introduction, and then Chris was like, see, I've always called him Chris. I don't call him Luda, right? So Chris was like, I've heard you DJing on 88.5 before, right? And what made that stick was he actually remembered a specific mix that I did. Right? So this nigga told me, he's like, yeah, I remember you was playing you was playing a Slick Rick beat, and you was playing some shit that had some TV themes on top of it. And I was just like, okay, yeah. Right. Yeah, this nigga was really listening to what the fuck I did. Okay. All right. So, but you know, at that point, I wasn't thinking that I was gonna be professionally linked with him later, right? So that was like 96. So we fast forward maybe a year or two after he done started doing the promos that he was doing on Hot, right? He had done the Fat Rabbit record. He had done he was on a official Tamia remix for the song Imagination. Was Lil Jon did a Booty Shake remix of it, and Chris was rapping on it. So he had did that, and he had did a couple more things. I'm DJing with Nabs at Kaya on Sunday. So Chris and Poon, they used to come through. And just one night, just out of the blue, he was like, hey man, you know, I'm gonna have some music come out, and you know, shit, I might want some scratching on my songs. So this was like 90, 99. And you know, I was like, all right, but I ain't really take him too serious though, because like at that point, you know, the thing to tell people back then, yeah, I got this record label. You know, everybody had a motherfucking record label or something, right? You know, especially like if they knew you was affiliated with radio, because I was on V103 back then, thanks to DJ Nabs. But yeah, you know, people would always be like, hey, you know, I got this little label, blah blah blah, and you know, niggas just. So initially I thought Chris was just talking just to talk, and then. I remember it being like early 2000, and the nigga gave me his, you know, it was at the Chili Pepper, where he was giving, because I used to DJ there on Tuesdays, it was me, DJ Mars, Trauma, and Cowboy. So he brought promo copies of his single, What's Your Fantasy? Up there, right? So at that point he was independent, and the
orange label.
Yep, the orange label with the big DTP. Yeah. So he was like, you know, I got some shows coming up, and you know, I might want you to DJ, you know, you know, during my show. When I start doing some, right? Because again, at this point, he was just independent.
Right.
So then the single ended up taking off. And he got, I mean, we know his story. So, you know, I don't need to really go into it. All I can say is I did my first show with him in September of 2000 in Cleveland. And after that, I lived out of a suitcase for the next 11 years because we was always fucking gone. Somewhere. Yeah, you know, like
11 years.
Yeah.
Straight.
You know, like
Good money.
Yeah.
Good experience, good everything.
Yeah, it was a experience.
More good than bad, just said.
Yeah, definitely more good. Definitely more good than bad. You know,
because some motherfucking bad in that.
Yeah, you know, like we definitely did.
Unbelievable shit.
Definitely did a lot of world traveling. You know, like I've gone through. I'm on my 5th passport now. Right, just because we did some
Nigga, we made it.
yeah. Yeah. You know. So
the real version of making it.
Yeah, so you know, the Ludacris era was from September 2000 to September of 2011. So yeah, I put in 11 full years of
building.
Yeah.
Okay.
I wanted to, because I hit you up and I was talking about
Mike Fresh and them.
Yeah. Because I saw that piece and I was like, yo, I remember, you know, first meeting these guys, right? So
Good.
it's spring 87. Spring 1987. You know, I'm just trying to figure out what's going on.
No, it's on the camera. You recording.
Okay, alright. Okay, yeah, so we just gonna talk. You know. The interviewer has gone upstairs. Alright, so spring 87, I was a wayward kid, Decatur. You know, you see I was a wayward kid, and somehow I remember a Saturday night. You know, my typical Saturdays at this particular time used to consist of hanging out at South DeKalb Mall all goddamn day. Like, you know, if it wasn't South DeKalb Mall, it's Greenbrier or, you know, Lenox, Perimeter, Cumberland, you know, trying to buy records and shit. Me and Booby. So yeah, I used to spend a lot of time at South DeKalb Mall. And then just one night, I remember the mall closing and this particular girl that I, you know, tried to kick it with, you know, at the Barrel of Fun arcade in South DeKalb Mall. She was like, some people I know, they're having a party at this new place across the street from the mall called House of Spirits. So I said, okay, all right, you know, because really, I'm just trying to follow her, right? And we go across the street, and we go into this club, and there's a guy, or there's a guy named Mike Fresh, it's Cooley C, and there's another guy. You know, it was at least two or three other people, but they had turntables and they had crates of records, and they were mixing, they were scratching, and it was just like okay, this is gonna be my this is gonna be my Saturday night thing right here. House of Spirits. The place was never really packed, but I didn't care. All I cared about was what the fuck was happening on turntables 1 and 2. I didn't give a fuck about. Okay, yeah, there's chicks. All right, cool. A little eye candy here and there, but let me see what's going on in this booth. So, DJ booths have always been a kryptonite. You know, they've always been the automatic magnet. You know, any club I go to. In my history of going to fucking clubs, I've always been near the DJ setup. Without fail. Like, you know, like I'll walk in, I'll go to the bar, you know, get a drink or whatever, you know, maybe carry on a couple conversations, but at some point there's always a magnet that I just end up near the DJ booth. You know, and I just focus on what was happening. And I just remember seeing Cooley C and Mike Fresh. LL I'm Bad was the jam of the moment, right? So, and the Bigger and Deffer album had just come out. So they was damn near playing everything off the whole album. I'm Bad, motherfucking Candy, Get Down, My Rhyme Ain't Done. You heard whole lot of LL, but then you Peter Piper, and you know I'm seeing, you know, Mike Fresh and Cooley C go, there it is, 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 and it's just like, oh, okay, all right, and that was just. So I say all that to say. Well, I'm basically repeating myself, but it was a magnet, and it even got to the point where I was coming up to this motherfucker so often that I met Easy T. Her dad was the guy who owned the spot. Right. So I met her dad. Met her, Cooley, you know, Mike Fresh and Cooley. Well, Cooley C, he remembers me. I mean, not from that era, but you know, like we've met, you know, over the years. So Mike Fresh probably won't know who the fuck, you know. He definitely won't remember me at all. But you know, I just, you know, had to put that on the record, like, yo, I saw these niggas, Mike Fresh, Cooley C, and then, you know, it's crazy. The Shy-D's album came out,
right? The
second album, and Mike asked on the cover, it's like, oh, yeah, that's that nigga that I saw from House of Spirits. Yeah, that nigga used to DJ on Saturday nights at the House of Spirits. But yeah, like I just used to every week. I mean, you know, it was a spring summer thing that didn't last past the summer of '87. Like it was no longer a thing after the summer of '87.
Right.
You know, because again, as I said a couple of minutes ago, it was never packed. You know, like you might have had maybe 30 or 40 people in there, you know, which looks cool for a second, but then when you see a big ass empty space, you know, you out of the 30 or 40 people that was in there, you let 25 of them motherfuckers in free.
Right.
Yeah, I know they wasn't really making no money, you know, so I understand why they, you know, had to pull the plug on the thing. But yeah, I just wanted to put that on the record, you know, because I've been telling like everybody that I know, like, yo, like I remember Mike Fresh and Cooley C and all these people, and people, you know, like, I guess they don't really know my history.
Right.
So, yeah. See, so you just missed the House of Spirit story.
We got it all right
Yeah.
here.
Okay. Yeah.
Here we go, bro.
All right. So, let me see. Let's talk about the J team.
52 minutes in.
Okay. So the J team, you know, my knowledge about J team, obviously, you know, it comes from Lynn,
Right.
you know, Lynn and Booby. You know, again, if you ever interview Lynn, you know, him and Booby battled about three times. Actual factuals at Booby's crib off of Wedgewood Terrace, Tony Elementary. So you definitely gotta ask Lynn. You have to ask Lynn about that. You got to, right? But yeah, so when they weren't battling, like they had legitimately struck up a good friendship. So Lynn would come over and play some of the brand new tapes that he had just made for the shop,
Right.
right? And there's one mix that I remember in particular, where the nigga, where he played Rodney O, the supercuts, right? The bonus beats.
Yeah.
They'll start off with the Michael Jackson,
Right.
right? So
Yeah,